Welcome back. I'm Monica Zukas. This is Reality Check. I'm here with John Shadowens. He's written a book called Legacy Lost. We're learning so much here this evening. You know, if you're a parent that's halfway in tune with what's going on in the world, you can figure out that things are much, much different than whenever we were young. We're just not connected like we used to be. The children aren't running out in the neighborhoods, and our neighbors aren't our close friends, and, you know, people we trust to put some authority on our children if they kind of stray a little bit. Before we left, we were talking about sex, about teens and sex, what they consider sex, and how much earlier things are going on. And you said you had a comment before we left, and it might sound sexist.
Well, and maybe I'm hypersensitive to this because I have a daughter, and
right.
I work with around, you know, all women, and I've got all these nieces. But I wonder where the female role models are these days. You know, for the longest time, we've acknowledged that we're losing male role models for boys. But I watch on television, you get the Jersey Shore, you get the Real Housewives, you get, what's the other one that I'm thinking of? Bad Girls Club, those sorts of things. And it's a badge of honor to fight, to cuss, to shred other, and I see, you know, teenage girls can be brutal with one another anyway.
And more with their friends than ever their enemies.
Yeah. But now it seems like it's become so culturized that's now a rite of passage, where used to it was just kind of this phenomenon that happened with girls. Now it's almost
glamorized, like, do this.
Yeah, and somehow that makes you tough or bad or popular or whatever. And what I'm worried about is we're going to lose ladyhood, that we're going to lose, you know, the part that makes the nurturing of moms and the, you know, the fair end of the relationships between men and women. What happens whenever we lose that softness? What happens when we lose that compassion and caring? And we're starting to see that with girls that are getting pregnant now and not being able to connect with their babies. Yeah, and
really?
Oh, yeah. It's a very, very kind of scary sort of phenomenon that we've kind of noticed in my department over the last 5 or 6 years.
Because are they just so desensitized to human interaction in general?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that we've done culturally.
That just shocked me.
Yeah, well,
that just makes me sick.
And it's not definitely everybody, but I mean, it's starting to invert. In fact, one of the things that is one of the reasons I really wanted to write the book is I think we're heading towards a tipping point. If we kind of spent the time to talk about all the things that are going wrong, the lack of social supports, the underdeveloped prefrontal cortices,
right.
the cultural and social erosion and everything that's going on, what's happening is we've always had people who are, I don't want to use the word dysfunctional, but...
dysfunctional.
Yeah, dysfunctional, less than optimal in the way that they parent and the way, you know, they don't hold jobs, and they tend to be more of a drain on society. If you look at just kind of how the demographics play out, the people who are parenting well, that are holding the jobs, that are highly motivated, that are achievers and givers in our society, they tend to have 1 or 2 kids. The folks that are more of the takers, the ones that are more needy,
29 kids on welfare.
Kids. It doesn't take more than 3 generations for you to get an inversion until the dominant part of the population, the majority, are the people who are not functioning well. And you're kind of starting to see that nationally. 51% of people are paying taxes. 49% of the people are receiving some sort of benefits from the government. You could just take that and then start extrapolating out, is that also true of the people who are parenting their children well? What happens when it becomes 30% of the population is very in tune with their kids, very strict and you know,
and then
the 70% are the ones
kind of like
not.
Whatever.
Yeah, then you get a cultural atrophy. You get a falling apart, a coming apart at the seams that you don't come back from. And it's one of the things. It's a
scary place to be.
It is, but we got to pay attention to it. One of the things that I really try to make an argument for.
What can we do?
Well, the last third of the book is really about. It's time to get off the couch. It's time to. We are so passive. If you were at Kroger and you see a kid that acting up, our natural tendency 20 years ago would have been to say something to the kid. Now,
I still follow that rule.
Yeah, well, because you don't know that.
Or give them a look like stop.
Yeah, but again, they're getting immune to the looks because they get those looks all the time.
Yeah, whatever, lady.
But it's incumbent upon all of us to reach into those kids, not just for discipline, but also for love.
There is a kid,
and everybody who's listening here, in your apartment complex, in your neighborhood, in your church, in your family, there is a kid who's a black sheep. There's a kid out there who is dying for attention, and they're waiting for somebody to come along and be a champion. That person is you. That's the argument I keep making.
And you don't have to have a degree.
You don't have to have a degree, and don't keep thinking that the government's going to fix this, because there's a whole section of the book about how the government is not going to fix it.
Obviously.
Well, it's bureaucracy, you know, and I work for a pseudo-government-funded agency. We do good work, but I can't be a parent-like figure. I can't be a mentor through work, but I can't be through my church, and I can't be through my neighborhood, and I can't be to my nieces and nephews. That's what all of us, we all have to get off the bench and get into the game and realize all kids are our kids. And that what we are seeing in the world that disturbs us, it's our job to fix it.
I want to say real quick, something we talked about on the break, quality time.
Yeah.
What do a lot of the parents these days think quality time is, or what do they quantify as that? And then what really is quality time with your children?
Well, we kind of labor under a little bit of illusion that we're spending a lot more quality time. In fact, I don't even believe there is such a thing as quality time, because you never know with a kid what is meaningful to them.
Right.
You can plan the perfect day. We're going to go get ice cream, then we're going to go to the movies, and then I'm going to pick you out a toy, and then we'll just hang out, and it'll be the greatest day ever. And they may not even be connected with you on that day. But there's a day that you're sitting around cooking dinner and doing the dishes and hanging out watching a movie in the living room having a conversation.
And they'll remember that forever.
And they'll remember that, and you'll wonder what that was. And there's an interesting study that I've looked at that...
buying your kids things is not
it's a cheap
qualified as quality time.
Well, everything that we tend to be arcing towards in our culture is cheap substitutes. You know, from what we substitute for true intimacy to what we substitute for real communication. And one of the things with kids is, you know, it's easier to buy them stuff to make them temporarily happy with the new gadget than it is to really invest. And we take shortcuts and we trade off, and we think that that's more meaningful to the kids than it really is. But the truth is, I bet you today, if you asked my daughter what all she got for Christmas 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, she wouldn't be able to tell you all of the gifts.
Right.
But, you know, we made a big point of you know, wrapping them and making sure that she got everything that she wanted. The material stuff just doesn't have a whole lot of lasting power. And, you know, when we look at kids, if you ask them how much time they're spending with their parents, they will tell you a lot less than if you ask the parents. The parents factor in all kinds of things, like, you know, hey, I'm driving them to ball practice, and we're hanging out in the car. And
we're at ball practice.
Yeah, and I'm sitting in the stands watching them practice or whatever, and I'm thinking we're spending time together. But the kids are focused on the activity, and they're not focused at all on their parents. And so the kids don't factor that in. So they look at it as a fraction of the time that we're spending with them. And so, you know, we got to ask ourselves some real questions about how well do I really know my kids? How much time am I really spending with my kid? And if there's any point I can make to your listeners, it's this. We are a culture that no longer knows what the word sacrifice means. We've got to get that back. We don't sacrifice. We don't sacrifice our money. We don't sacrifice our time. We certainly don't sacrifice for other people. There are a lot of parents that are listening to this radio station that are out on the town looking for the next Mr. or Miss Right.
Oh, they're not home listening to this because they're kicking it.
Exactly. Instead of being with your kids. And I don't want to be judgmental and finger pointy about it, but we keep looking to our own needs as adults when what our grandparents would have done. So if you're a single
parent, maybe finding a dad for those kids isn't the most important thing right now. It's being that parent, that mom or that dad that is there to spend that time with them.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that can sound judgmental to some people's ears, but really attend to the most important thing. And the most important thing is if God blessed you with a child, for you to raise it, that's the most important gift and responsibility and obligation you're going to carry. Take care of that business. Then, once they're grown, you'll have plenty of time to get your needs met and to grow into who you are. But, you know, while you're with a kid, make your kid the most important person in your world. Now,
and to some of us, that's what we have always done and just think is the golden rule. But a lot of people are like, well, I mean, I'm a single parent. I got to go out. I mean, I got to have time for myself, too, because I'm with them all week.
I've worked all week. I need some me time. I've been taking care of this kid all week, and I need to blow off some steam.
I need a break. You know how many people I hear say, I need a break? Well, what do you mean you need a break? I mean, once you have children, they don't go away, and it's 24/7, 365. You don't get a break. Yeah, maybe if they take a nap, have a break.
Yeah.
But it's priorities as well. You know, and I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, my husband or their dad may not spend enough time with them because, you know, they work so many hours a week. And it's like, if you want to spend time with your kids, you make time. Right. I mean, if my husband works 60 hours a week and on the rest of the time he's not, he and my son are playing soccer. They're looking for arrowheads. They're digging. They're talking. They're playing. They're building. And it's like, that's quality time. I know that much for sure. Look at there.
Yeah.
Through in an hour.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
You've got to come back because we just scratched the surface. Everybody, check this out. Get on Facebook and on my page. Go like John's page, Legacy Lost. You need to get his book, and you need to read it. There's so much information. We couldn't possibly cover it tonight, but it's a starting point. It's a conversation opener, and you must come back.
Yeah, I wanted people just to be able to talk about this with their friends and neighbors and family.
Because it's too easy for us to stick our head in the sand than face these things, and something needs to be done because we're in a demise with a lot of the way we're running ourselves and running our children these days. Everybody, thanks for listening. Join us again next Friday. Again, check out John Shadowens' book on my Facebook page, Legacy Lost. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Special thanks to Monica Zukas and the whole team here at Reality Check. It's been a privilege to be on, to be able to talk about these matters that we don't get to talk about very often. So keep tuning back into this station, and hope we get to come back very soon and talk more about the stuff that matters to you and your family.
It affects everyone differently, and it's everyone's point of view. It's more than a talk show. It's a reality check. It's Reality Check with Monica Zukas.